All right, we're going to be on in a few seconds.
Okay.
Dr. Miles. Good morning. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. It's 11 o'clock, or almost 11 o'clock. Welcome to our daily COVID conversations. We've had over the last 3 months now during this pandemic an opportunity to have a casual conversation 11 o'clock each morning with various individuals who are involved inside and outside of county government that bring a different perspective to the situations that we face. Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins also hosts these, so we alternate and we try to give at least a little conversational element to what we're facing. And then at 2 o'clock today, we will have our daily update, which will include statistics on the spread of the virus, as well as some other information. A little later today, 2 o'clock, we will be out on the road in Port Chester. As we try to be out on the road a fair bit for these things, we'll be at the site of one of our affordable housing projects that is nearing completion in Port Chester. It's a senior project, and we'll be there with the developer and some people from the Port Chester community. But today, we're very honored to have Dr. Belinda Miles, who's the president of Westchester Community College. She is a prominent educator, and over the number of years that she has headed WCC, she's brought a new dynamism to that institution for which the county and the state are partners. Hopefully, we'll be a little better partners in the days to come. Dr. Miles, thank you for being with us today.
My pleasure. Good morning.
Good morning. So everyone, you, me, and everybody in the world now is going through an unbelievable set of circumstances that are unusual beyond anything we've experienced in our professional or our human life. So from the standpoint of running the college, and this hit during the middle of the semester, and we are now 3 months into the contagion and the economic concerns that go with it, and now that we face a social justice issue and potentially a civil unrest issue. Tell me where's the college at now, and how are you steering the ship of state through these waters?
Absolutely. These are times that we could not have imagined. I came into my role a couple of years before you came into your role, and neither of us had the kinds of extreme circumstances in mind during those times, but we must lead through these times. I've been reflecting this week on how it was only about 90 days ago that we were presenting to our college community, dusting off our pandemic response plan that we had developed several years ago, looking at other possibilities of a pandemic. Now we're living through it 90 days in and 90 days away from the big fall semester. So we've had an enormous amount of planning to do. Early on, once we recognized that things were real, things were happening in the world that we needed to pay attention to, I formed a pandemic response team, and that was back in late February. Westchester Community College was lucky that our spring break was early in March, and so we were able to extend that spring break by a week and ready ourselves for what it would look like to have a fully remote operation. We knew, because of our principles and the work that we've been doing with our planning, that health and safety had to be our first priority for our community. And so with the students away, we bring about 12,000 students into our campuses and our 5 extension centers across the county annually, plus more than 1,000 employees on a daily basis. And so coordinating to make sure that our space was safe, and then secondly, that we could have mission continuity and offer teaching and learning in a safe way, as well as business operations, and then support our students and our employees in that environment were our top priorities. So we got to it right away. We've learned a lot. We got through the spring semester. We are waiting to have a virtual graduation, but we have many celebrations with our students through Zoom and other electronic means. And we wanted to get them out into the workforce and on with their next opportunities in four-year institutions.
Well, it's really a difficult dynamic when we talk about the traditions of education, higher education in this case, where there is a time frame for a semester to end, and of course for those who are in their last year of study, a graduation, and that's a festive time, and this is a graduation like no other in terms of what we've seen. The traditional sense of a community college is really changed dramatically, and you've been part of helping to redefine that. There are people who are out in the community who look at the community college not as a place to go from the end of your high school career to the next 2 years of your higher education career, but you've gone out into the workforce and you want to add skills, you want to add some credentials. So now you see the community college as a bridge to that next step. And now you have thousands of workers who are furloughed. Some are laid off. How could the community college help those individuals?
Well, you may be aware, and I invite you to explore our website to take a look at a report that we were able to conduct a few years ago with support from the J.P. Morgan Chase Foundation on middle skills in the marketplace. And middle skills careers are those jobs that require more than a high school diploma, but not a baccalaureate degree. So that's a real sweet spot for community colleges. And we offer a range of associate degree programs as well as short-term training programs as short as 3 months or 6 months that can help displaced workers, those who are furloughed, those who are looking for career changes to upskill and learn some of the newer technologies for in-demand fields. You can get started in a great middle skills career through our workforce development programming. We coordinate with the Westchester Putnam Workforce Development Board. And so again, these are resources that are available in the community. Many have moved to virtual operations and offer certifications in fields in healthcare, in advanced manufacturing. So there are opportunities, and we encourage folks to stay on track with their goals and not be discouraged. It's a difficult time, but we have resources and programs that can help them to continue to advance and to get back on track.
We've gone through the different phases that have been laid out by the governor, the reopening. Education has been left to a later phase. Right now, phase 4, both K to 12, and in our case, higher education. And there are a lot of residents in the county who attend colleges in other places. Now they're considering some alternatives. Any advice you can give people like that? Any direction that WCC can provide?
Well, we've been using a hashtag lately, hashtag WCC here for you. And so we are indeed available to members of the community. We know that lots of our residents do attend institutions outside of the county, even outside of the state, but many people are looking at options that are closer to home. And again, that's a sweet spot for community colleges. We are that option close to home. We are structured to be in communities. Folks can, and now with our remote learning options, you can learn and continue to advance your education from the comfort of your home. And I will just say that the remote learning options that are available today are not like they were generations ago. We have the opportunity for folks to be in a classroom environment with their instructor, with their colleagues, much like we're doing on this Zoom call. And we've seen great response in our virtual open houses that we've hosted in recent weeks, both for students and accepted students. And we had a special evening where we had parents come on board who were very curious to see what the options were. And if you watch their faces, it was as though they were looking at the screen like they were watching television or something. They were really intrigued and had fantastic questions. Folks are concerned about safety, and we have a public health crisis happening now. And so to be able to have the continuity of learning opportunities, we're there for students, recent high school graduates, those who are looking for career changes, whether you're looking to get into the workforce or to transfer to a four-year institution. Our education is available for you, and we're really excited to welcome those students.
And I know also, Dr. Miles, that the economics are an issue. Certainly with the amount of furloughed and laid off come people that don't have the resources that they did before. And many times it's those folks who are striving that they see the educational opportunities at WCC as being the next logical step for them. What is the college able to do to be helpful to, to those folks who are in need, those students that are in need, financial need?
It's really interesting because 10, 15 years ago in my career, I was hearing about things like the digital divide. And we know, about where's their Wi-Fi access. And it's remarkable. 20 years ago, we were talking about Y2K. Was technology going to be able to hold up? And here we are in 2020. And I will say that it was really striking to see that when this pandemic hit, and when we announced that we would be offering our continuing our spring semester fully remotely, the number of students who did not have access to technology was just overwhelming. And so our campus, our campus leadership jumped into a gear right away, and our IT department distributed laptops to students through a loaner program. We're part of the State University of New York SUNY system, And SUNY was able to negotiate with some of the technology organizations to provide laptops to campuses as well. And we've had to distribute those not only to students, but also to faculty. Our foundation was so generous and immediately began to expand our emergency relief fund so that they can help students with some of the immediate issues that they were facing. Community college students across the nation already are facing housing and food insecurity. And so now to add this technology gap to their learning was overwhelming in many cases. And so even the federal government kicked in with the CARES Act funding, which has a portion of that which is earmarked directly for student aid. So we're happy to be able to add those resources to support our students and make sure that they don't get lost. It was a top priority for us to keep our to keep our hands on where our students were. So retention was really top of mind. Where are they? And fortunately, we have some innovative technology resources that help us to identify who's checking in and who's not, who didn't return from spring break. So we were able to monitor that, identify students, reach out to them, provide supports for them, provide training for the instructors to keep them whole throughout the semester, and to provide them with resources that they needed, not only for their academics, but in some cases for the mental health counseling and other resources that they might need as they were facing this. A lot of our students were essential workers, and they couldn't return because they were involved in their ENT jobs, or working in hospitals, or picking up extra shifts as the demand there increased. And many were actually caregivers, and so many are parents who are now homeschooling their children. And so just a range, a myriad of circumstances that surrounded their lives and experiences. And so we've put resources in place to support them as they've been managing this crisis. And they're so determined to get their degree. We've administered a mental health survey through one of our counseling departments. And our students we saw comments like, I'm committed to getting this degree no matter what crisis I'm facing. So if they're that committed, we're going to be there to help them.
As an educational institution, you are one of the pillars within the community, and at this time, not only a pandemic and fiscal crisis, we're also in a time of a crisis of the spirit, and the cry for justice after the murder of George Floyd is on everyone's mind, and obviously the the response of individuals and institutions both are critical in all of this. And of course, classes have been out of session, so you're not having this happen at a time when people are in class in the traditional way that it used to be, where people can talk through in seminars, statuses, and so forth. But obviously, just from your own personal life story, the success you've had as a strong African American woman, but seeing the prejudice that exists in America to this day, and watching this nation right now really, and white America really assess exactly what happened in this death on the heels of Breonna Taylor's death, on the heels of the death of a young man in Georgia. How does it strike you as a person, given your experiences, and how does it strike you as an educator as to what our challenge is at this moment?
I often start some of my speeches and let students have a little insight, as you do. You tell us about growing up in Mount Vernon. I grew up in public housing in Queens. My parents migrated from the cotton fields of the Carolinas to Harlem during the Harlem Renaissance. And so I've heard stories about the living in a Jim Crow society and what it meant like to come from a sharecropping background. And I watched how they worked in earnest and coordinated with so many different groups and organizations and allies to really advance civil rights in our communities and through our churches and schools. And I'm a first generation college graduate, my sisters and I, and that meant so much for our parents to be able to provide an opportunity for us to learn and to really change the trajectory of our family's history by being able to have credentials that could help us to move into roles where we can have an impact on society. And I think each generation does look to have that improvement. And when that improvement doesn't seem to be as evident, it can be it can be disillusioning. And certainly when we're seeing that coupled with injustices in society, our hearts are broken. But we can't afford to be overwhelmed by these circumstances. And it's so important that we stay on track to the goals that we know can advance us and provide open more doors to opportunity. And so my commitment as an educator, as a community college educator in particular, is one that's based on broadening access and increasing opportunity to more success for more individuals. So we're there for that purpose. And by the way, our summer enrollment is very robust. We are fully remote during the summer courses, and we're just we're on target to meet our enrollment objective for this summer. So we do have opportunities for students to engage with their faculty members and to have space to talk about the kinds of activities that are taking place in the community. We also have a community education part of the college that's aligned with our workforce development unit, where we can have more directed community conversations. And I did see that you're reviewing some of the policies with police, and we would love to partner with you to provide any educational elements that might be helpful in that regard. So we're there to assist in that way as well.
Well, we'd very much welcome that assistance. We're hoping out of this tragedy that we'll find a way to do some very concrete good things. And I think not only is that the right thing to do, I think it's the necessary thing to do. I think people need to see that we're not just speeches and marches, which have their value, and statements, of regret, but that there's real action that comes out of it, and the action is credible, and it has some resonance to changing what happens out in the world. As hard as that can be, given the the centuries of racism that we've seen, in this land. Let's just close with you giving some basic information about the college for those that are interested in learning more. Tell us also where some of your extension locations are, so people realize just how close they are to WCC, wherever they may be in this county.
Well, we're not able to be available to the community in person at this time because of the pandemic. So our main campus in Valhalla is available now for our essential workers, and they are there making sure that operations are able to continue, and we have the support that we need for the telework that's taking place. But we also have 5 extension centers in the north in Peekskill and Ossining, in White Plains through the White Plains Education and Training Center, and in the south in Mount Vernon and Yonkers. And so we have developed those sites in cooperation with the county. Our county board of legislators have been very engaged in ensuring that there are resources available for their constituents. And so those are wonderful opportunities to get started toward the associate degree or to engage in some of the certificate programs. But I invite you to our website, www.sunywcc.edu, that's SUNY-WCC.edu, to learn more about our credit and non-credit programs, degree and non-degree options, as well as community events that might be of interest.
We've been talking with Dr. Belinda Miles, who's the president of the Westchester Community College in this time of COVID and related concerns. Dr. Miles, thank you for the outstanding job you're doing. Look forward to working with you in the days to come.
My pleasure. On behalf of our Board of Trustees, our faculty, and our employees, I thank you for this opportunity.
And thank you all for watching. As I mentioned before, we'll be back at 2 o'clock for our daily update, the status of our dealing with this virus and related issues. And we will be on the road in Port Chester, but we'll look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, stay safe. This is George Latimer, County Executive. Have a good day.